Welcome back to our next session with GoodX Web Fundamental Training, and we're going to do now one of the important parts of GoodX and also of your practice to ensure that you're getting money in. So we're going to do the billing now. On the Learning Center, I'm just going to tell you what is covered under billing. We have the macros and macro settings, and then we have the invoice screen, how to do the billing. We also have the estimates, and then if you're using the dental, we have the dental screen. Because there you can choose the tooth numbers and so on. Now, on the diary, we're going to click on the patient. And we're going to tell the system we want to invoice this patient. This patient is ready, so we're not using the triage. We're going to go past the triage. The patient has been treated, so the doctor has seen the patient, the script has been done, everything has been done. We are going to invoice this patient now. So we're going to click on invoice. This is how the invoice screen looks like. Now just the overview of the invoice screen, you will see here is the patient's details and also the medical aid details, and if there is any outstanding funds on this patient. Then which patient is highlighted. This is the patient that you're going to bill now. Then you also again have the service center. If the service center must change, you change it here. You have your treating doctor. If you want to change the treating doctor, you can change the treating doctor. This is the date, and it will take the date from the diary. Now from here you also have your authorization numbers. Now we didn't put in any authorization, but we can, so we're going to say plus, and we're going to say add. From here we're going to say authorization. We can this is a scheme authorization. We're going to put in the authorization code. The authorization is from this date until this date, and then the description. Say for instance, the authorization was only done for 3,000 rand. Then if the medical aid did give you all of the items that you're allowed to use on this patient, part of the this authorization, you're going to put it in here, and you can say add invoice line to add some more. We're not going to put in anything now. We're going to say complete and then close. Sorry, we must first say save. So let's reopen it, and we're going to say save. There the authorization now is. If you want to edit it, you can say view. You can click on the authorization, and I see we didn't put in that one, and we're going to say save. Yes, thank you. There is all the information, and we say close. To go back to our invoice screen. Now we can choose it from the list and say yes, that is the authorization we are busy with, and then you can say yes, I'm glad with that. Now from here you can put in the referring doctor, and this shows you to which price list is this invoice linked to. So because this patient is on Discovery, Core, Classic, Acute, it's linked to DH rate, and also the price list is linked to Discovery Health rate. Now you can change it if you have to, but please, this must be done under really good supervision, and you must have a really good reason why do you change the price list to use different prices. On here, if this patient is on a medical aid, but the patient tells you please don't send it to the medical aid, I'm going to pay for this invoice myself, then you can click on this, and the whole invoice is going to post as a private invoice. From here also you have your estimate invoice. So if this is only an estimate that you're going to give to the patient and not an invoice that the patient must pay, you're going to say this is an estimate, and you will see the post button is not available anymore. You can only save the estimate. Okay, we're going to do a full invoice first, and then we will do an estimate. Now here you can say add procedure, and your procedure list will open. So if you don't know the codes and you want to search for something, you can open it here and you can come and search on this one. And then also the materials, medicine and macros, and if you put on, you can save and it will add that line for you. Now, we're going to put here, let's minus it. The first step is always your diagnose code. We're going to say for this one, it's ZOO, the general medical examination. And then we have our procedure codes. This is a GP, so the consultation code is 0190, depending on your specialty that you're using. You type in the quantity. Yes, we only consulted the patient once. This is the amount according to the price list. This is the medical aid liable, and then the patient liable is 0. Now, if you're going to say medical aid liable 200 Rand, you can overwrite it, and then you type in, it will change the amount also to 200 Rand, for instance. Now, if we use this scale, you can tell the system, okay, I want to use the patient liable must be, let's make like this, the patient liable must be equal to 100 Rand. Then you will see it automatically change the amount to 300 Rand, depending on which one you have chosen to put on the scale. So if I'm going to say on the scale, it must be patient liable, it will take the amount minus the patient liable and it put into the medical aid liable. Or otherwise, if I put it on patient liable, it will take the medical aid liable minus the amount and it will put the difference into the patient liable. Okay. Then we have the authorization number. It will pull through if we put it in there. And then if this is a PMB, now a PMB is a chronic condition. A PMB must first be registered with the medical aid before the patient will be applicable for a PMB. And then you can put in the PMB registration number in, and you can indicate that this is a PMB consultation, or it is a PMB medical items that you're giving out to the patient. Now we want to put another line, because we've given this patient a flu injection, for instance. So we're going to search for a syringe 5 milliliters. We only used one. The amount is correct. My medical aid liable, and then we have the authorization number that pull through. We're going to plus, and we're going to say we used a needle, a fine needle, no, a cutting needle, syringe and needle. So you can decide on what is the correct needle that you're going to use. And if you don't find it, type a little bit more inside. A needle, let's take this one. Ooh, 140 Rand for one needle. Then we're going to say we use 2 needles. For instance, no, we only used one needle, and this, for example, a green needle. And also we used another needle, a black needle. Let's take that one. And then we also used web calls. And the web calls is a large one, and we used 4 of them. The amount will be calculated by 4, and then inside the medical aid side. So say for instance, we want to, the patient is saying now, all of the consumables that you used on me, please send that to the medical aid, but the consultation fee I'm going to pay myself. Then you can click on that one, and it will automatically put it in patient liable, and it will not be sent through to the medical aid. And only these items will be sent through to the medical aid, for instance. Now let's take this one off. It will recalc again to what it was. On here, it shows you the invoice total of the invoice, how much is it going to be. And then you have your easy events that you also can do from here. And you have your doctor now. This is all the ones that you have set up to be the quick ones. You can close, then nothing is you're going to lose everything. And then you will see here is a credit note, but unfortunately it's grayed out now. We're going to work with this ones after with the corrections. And then you will see post only. On the arrow, you will also have the option post and switch, or post await response. Now this is your default billing button. Now you can change this, that it must always say post and await response. Now, the post and the wait response is a nice one because it tells you immediately what is getting paid and what not. Now, it is important that you know, before the patient leaves your practice, that you know what the medical aid is going to pay or not. That the patient can pay immediately for it or otherwise make arrangements. And the system will tell you, if you say post the wait response, the system will also tell you all the information that is incorrect, that you can fix it. Say for instance, the ID number is incorrect and you didn't make a copy of the ID. Then if the patient walks out of your door, you're not going to get that patient again and you will have to phone and struggle and to get the correct ID number. So it's important that all the information is correct and your post to make your life easier and to make sure that you don't have a lot of outstanding fees because your information on the system is incorrect. So the best solution is to post and the wait response is going to give you immediately a response from the medical aid, what is going to get paid and what not. Then you have your post and switch. That will post it and it will switch it to the medical aid, but it will not give you a response right now. You will have to go to the switch history screen to see what the response is, or otherwise in the account screen to see what the response was. And then post only will only post this invoice and will not switch it to the medical aid or send it to the medical aid. Then we have your save and close button. This will then save and it will close. It will not post the invoice, so it will only save it as a temporary invoice. Okay. Then from here you can build your own macro, save lines to new macro. Now that is your combinations that you set up. We're going to work with that now. Get cost is to show you if you did do any calculations yourself and changed amounts on this, it will take it back to and show you what the cost is then. Okay. Then we're going to say post only because we don't have a live system here and we can't send it to the medical aid. Otherwise, we're going to make this test GoodX patient. Hopefully, Discovery is going to pay us, but no, it's not going to go through because we don't have the correct information. So we're going to say post only. You will see the status has already changed from invoice to receipted. So now you can see the next step is going to be to do a receipt, but we will come to that part in the next session. But the patient has been invoiced. Now let's take this one. I want to invoice. You will see on this patient, because we did do a invoice on this patient, medical aid outstanding is 526 Rand and the patient outstanding is 100 Rand. So that is the amount that we have paid. Not paid, the amount that we have invoiced on the patient. Now, to take another one, let's see. I'm just going to book another one. I want to show you if we do estimate. Okay, we're going to say the patient has arrived and the patient is ready for the doctor. We're not going to use the triage. Sorry. Okay, there's something wrong with our internet. It's a little bit slow. Let's just refresh. I'm just going to make another booking. I'm just going to reload. Okay, so there it is, treated. So the next step is invoiced, and we're going to say invoice. Now from here we're going to save an estimate now. Everything is correct. We're going to type in the diagnose code or codes. We're going to put in a consultation fee, for example. We're going to say plus and saying urine dipstick we've done on the patient 2 of them plus we did the stitching on this patient of soft tissue injury that the patient had, 2 places on one leg and the other leg, and then we used web balls, 3 of them. We used Bernardo. We're going to give the patient Bernardo because we are a dispensing GP, for instance. You can say here days apply, 10 days, and you can type in here the signata. Then you can say add Voltaren, and then we have a bandage, and we're going to use 3 bandages. Now everything is correct. Now, say for instance the patient only wants a quotation, you didn't do anything on the patient yet, we're going to say estimate invoice. The post button will disappear and you will say save and close. Now the amount is going to be 7,000 Rand for all of the stuff that you have done, will have to be done on this patient. So we're going to say save and close. Now, there was only a temporary invoice saved on this account. So if you click on invoice again, it's going to show you it's an estimate and you can't post it. Now we're going to open this one. So if you want also, say for instance, the patient is going to wait till tomorrow, hopefully not with a soft tissue stitching, but the patient is only going to come back next week, you can go on account details. And you can see, okay, this is the patient's account, here is the estimate invoices, and here is the estimate invoice that we have done. Now from here you can say view estimate, and it will bring you back to the main screen of the invoice screen. Now if you want to build this estimate, you take off the estimate invoice, and you say, okay, but you know what, the patient doesn't need Bernardo, we're going to remove the Bernardo, we remove the Bernardo, the patient is going to use all of this, and then you can say post and switch, or post and wait for the response. Okay. Now if we go to invoice, you will see here is our invoice then. And again, you can still see there is the estimate. Okay. Now to come to the macros, that I can show you how the macros work. Now I'm going to show you, I'm going to do another patient booking, that we can do another one. Save. Arrived. Ready. I'm not going to use triage. So the patient has been treated. Now we do an invoice. Now, I'm going to show you now how to set up your own macros, but we do have a list of macros that is already set up on this Play system. I'm going to show you how easy it is to use a macro. Now, a macro is a set of billing lines that you already set up for a certain procedure. Say for instance you're going to use a flu injection, you always will use a green needle, a black needle, a web gauze, a 5 ml syringe, and you will have the flu vaccine to give to the patient, and a consultation fee, for instance. And then you can set up a flu injection macro, and then you can allocate that lines already to that combination, and when you do your billing you only choose flu combination and then it pulls it in. Also the same with stitching, for instance. You know you're always using or billing the certain procedures or consumables or medication on that type of procedure, and you can put it on as a macro to make the billing much faster. Now still, even if you pull in the macro, you can still change the macro. You don't have to say yes, but that is a macro, we set it up. You can still delete some of the lines before you post. Now to see all the macros that we have set up on this system, we're going to say add procedure, and we're going to say macros. So this is the macros on the Play system that we have set up. Now we're going to say, okay, yes, we want to see the flu injection. Now this is all the items and the procedures that is in a flu injection. If we say first visit, this is all the stuff that we're going to use on a first visit with this patient. Okay, so we're going to say close. Yes, we want to exit. Now we're going to say yes, that is our ICD-10 code, and then we're going to say flu injection, and there your billing is done. Now you can only say post and wait for the response. So the billing can be as quick and easy when you're using the macros. So you're going to save time when you're busy with the billing. Now say for instance you didn't use the web call, you just let's say we didn't use the needle, we're going to say minus, and web call we used 3 of them. You can still change after you have selected your combination or your macro. So now we're going to say post only, or otherwise post and wait the response, and there your billing is done. Now to set up your own macro, you go to settings. You'll see there was a few places in the system that we also you were able to say do the script, save the script as a macro, or save this invoice lines as a macro. So there's different ways that you can save it, but when you set it up, you can also set it up here. So you go on to settings, you say billing settings, and there you have your macro settings. Now here is all the ones that we already set up, and then you can click on it, and if you want to edit it, you can edit it, and then just remember to save. But to add a new one, we're going to say add new macro. The first step is to give this macro a code and a unique name. Now the code is really important, that you give them a unique code and something that is starting with something that is not on the system yet. Because say for instance you're going to type in there needle, and you're giving your macro the code needle, is going to go and search for other needles also, and is going to use the first one it can get. So it's important that you might be typing like 0, 1, and then you start with your description of your rest of your code, or anything that is unique that you can think of. So let's make this one a head 1 for instance, and then we say headache. And luckily the system can spell, not like us. Then you can right click and you can say headache, and then you can type in the service center, so you can say it's always going to be in the rooms, and then you can link it to a certain treating doctor. So say for instance you have a dentist and you have a GP, you can set it up. This is always going to be used by the GP, and this is always going to be used by the dentist, for example. Or otherwise certain doctors is doing certain procedures in your practice, and that doctor is always going to use that type of macro. Or other examples is also, say for instance the one doctor has small hands and the other doctor has large hands and is using gloves, then you can say for the doctor, yes, here is your your macro, this is large gloves, and this one is yours, it is small gloves. Now that is one option to do it. The other option is also to use the fixed or the choose one. So the choose one, you can put on a lot of items, and you first, there's a screen that pops up and you ask you which ones did you use, and then you can decide on which one that you use or not. So say for instance you only want to create one macro and not for each doctor because they have different hand sizes, then you can say yes, it's not linked to a treating doctor, it's linked to everybody can use it, but I have large gloves, I have medium gloves, and I have small gloves. And then you can put all 3 of them, and when they build a macro, the system is going to ask them, okay, choose which one. And then they can say, yes, I use the large glove and I use the medium glove, for instance. And then the billing will be done. So that is what a choose one is for. Now, the other example for the treating doctor is, say for instance, they are doing exactly the same procedures, but one doctor likes a certain type of medication when the other doctor doesn't like that type and he wants the other one. Then you can also set it up as per treating practitioner. So we're going to say a fixed one, and then the next step. So you already put your header. Now we're going to say add billing lines, add billing items. The diagnose, if you want to, you can put a diagnose in here. If the macro is not linked to a diagnose and it can be used on different types of diagnosis, then you don't have to type it in here. Okay, we're going to use this one. You type in the code. For instance, let's take a consultation fee. Quantity, how much is it always going to be? The prices, only when you fill in the prices here is when the price is not, it mustn't go and take it off the price list, but it's a fixed amount. So say for instance you always have a special and say for all my flu injections you only pay 65 rand. Doesn't matter what you are using or anything, always 65 rand, and then you will put in here 65 rand. Now just please remember when you use this amount that in the beginning of every year and there's a price increase, we are not updating these prices. You have to update these prices yourself. Okay, so from here, please remember that you have to keep these prices up to date. And if you didn't fill in the prices, the system will use the correct prices as it is on the price list, and that will be updated every year. Okay, then we have, say, another one, and we say here, Voltaren, the tablets, and we're going to give the patient 30 tablets. And we're going to put another one, and we're going to say 1, add another one, Bernardo, and add another one. We're going to say here okay. Now we're finished, we put on everything that we want and we say save. If we go now into the billing screen, I just want to make a booking for us. This patient is treated. We just need to do the invoice, and we say the diagnosis we already put in, add procedure, macro, and we've used the headache one, and save. And there your billing is done. So now you can just post. Okay. I just want to see what we have missed. We did do the macros, we did do this invoice screen, create and view estimates, and the simple dental invoice screen. Is anybody, the speciality, is there anybody that's viewing that is a dental practice, that we know if we have to go through the dental practice invoice. If not, we're not going to waste time on a dental invoice screen. Okay, thank you for your time. The next session will be about billing corrections. We're going to start with the next session in We're going to start the next session in 20 minutes. Thank you very much. We're going to take a little bit longer break for lunch, and then we will see you back in 20 minutes. Thank you.